Hi guys, how you guys going? Wow, it's really bright. How are you? Awesome. I'm really good. My name is Ida. I've been invited here to perform for you a couple of poetry. I actually met Adeni at the detention center a couple of years ago. I got a grant to go into the detention centers and perform for the asylum seekers, and that's where our relationship started. So he's asked me to come here and share with you a couple of poems. So I'm going to start with the first one I wrote for Refugee Week, Melbourne Council. I really wish I can see you. I can't see anyone. Really? Okay, so this one is called We Welcome You. We welcome you because we welcome the human spirit that wants to live on, to be strong and raise strong children. We welcome you because we too know that we can grow from your stories and your courage, from the tales that you salvage from broken lands and faraway places, all those people you left behind and all their familiar faces. I know you are someone's son and someone's daughter. And even as they struggled to find you food and water, they prayed for you to suffer no longer, planted their dreams in egg and semen so they may live on through all of your dreaming. We welcome you because we know your journey has been long and treacherous. And even as your faith wears thin, you pick up broken pieces, piece by piece, reorient them towards hope, lay them back down to compass your path, to rebuild your life for you and your wife. We welcome you because you are life expressing life, and because we know that human migration is how we have survived as a species. We welcome you because we are all taking residence on the lands of the First Nations people, and all our ancestors came from faraway places. So even as your words get trapped behind language barriers, the light from your eyes shine through and speak louder than your tongue, so don't close them. Don't look away, and don't be afraid of me. Because if we sit and share stories, we will always find similarities. Remind your children where you came from, so they may grow up to tell my children stories of your childhood, so they may be far away from our birthplaces but never feel displaced from their spirits. My mother, she tapped rubber trees, and my grandmother, she worked the lands on her hands and her knees, and even as they cried at the departure gates, they knew they had to release me to the open arms of destiny, but come into my homes, and I will serve you their strength in cardamom and cumin. You will taste and feel their laughter in the hot cup of chai that I will serve after. You will feel their power that I've stitched together into pride. I wear their struggles like a family heirloom to remind me that there can be no fire without friction, and this fire burns to live purposefully and make the most of this life that has been given to me. So just like me, just like all of us, we welcome you. We welcome your stories, your spices, your smiles, your fabrics, your patchwork, your cultures. We welcome you. Thank you. Thank you. So a lot of my poetry speaks about current issues that I'm passionate about, like domestic violence and gender equality, and this one is a personal poem. I'll do it and then I'll explain a little bit more. You became a stranger when I became a teenager. Somewhere between burgeoning chests, hairy legs, awkward curiosity about the boys and the bees, you were someone who always seemed to be able to stand between me and my happiness. It's funny how the bad memories can erase all the good ones. It's funny how we hold on tight to the bad ones so we can keep being angry and keep having good reason to. I know there were times when we were happy, but I can't seem to remember it. Somewhere between crayons and breasts, I became your enemy. Now there's cancer cells moving through lymph systems of my yesterdays, destroying healthy tissues stratified with our laughters and intimate moments. I am like an archaeologist, bereft of treasures, yet so desperate to unearth pieces of you, holding me up to the sky so I can just reach and wrap cumulonimbus cape around me like a mighty superhero, diving off the edge of your brown feet towers, gliding into the sky dance of both our footsteps. I only wanted to love you because out of the millions and billions of daddies in the world, you were mine. But after many attempts of diving deep into the bloodshot oceans of your eyes, hopeful for warmth and never finding it, a little voice in the little me started to echo whispers of forgetting, of just not caring, of those times when we were pals. Somewhere between living and surviving, your armor grew tougher as your heart grew weaker. Now, I didn't know how hard it must have been to wake up at men's hour and walk to the battlefield of the workplace, trading life force for prejudices and paychecks. They stole nature from your brow, planting creases between them where my kisses should have been. Some mornings, I would see your feet poking out of the blanket, shaking like it's having a standoff with your mind, challenging that day to be the day that you would just quit, but you kept going because destiny as choice was something that just did not exist in your periphery. See, I was just a little kid. I was too young to understand the depth of institutionalized racism on a man's psyche. I was just a kid, watching sadness-shaped cartoons crawl out of your work boots, creeping into the living room to have dinner with this family uninvited. You beat Mom, imprinted indigo rings around her eyes in an attempt to reclaim your power as a man, to demand that which was stolen from you from the workplace. You say nothing, but the silence occupied like in a gas chamber. And Mom, like mirror neurons firing neurosis, she retaliates with tongue tipped in plutonium warheads. Now, stuck in a war zone, we took cover under the bed, me and my sister. Trapped in the crossfire, but confused as to who the enemies were. Now, all I can remember is the deafening silence of broken glass, seconds, minutes after it had been smashed like spilled milk gone bad, curdling pieces of stifled words and knotted tummies. Never inflict violence on a woman, no matter how much you think she deserves it, no matter how she cunningly provokes your anger just to get you to gaze or even to glare into her eyes so she feels like she at least still exists beyond the cups of coffee she perfectly brews to gain your affection. But hurt people, and no one ever taught you to be the man that I needed you to be. Told you that the pen or the heart is mightier than the fist. If I could have cradled the 10-year-old you in my arms, I would have stroked your hair and told you that it was okay to cry, to be soft and vulnerable. But just as much a victim of patriarchy as I was, you showed me love in a language I didn't understand. You put your love underneath my warm bed, in between my textbooks, in the pocket of that sparkly dress. You put your love everywhere around me, in all the bills and all my rollerblade. You put your love everywhere around me. But to the little girl, your temper spoke louder than your actions, and I have never been good at treasure hunts. I failed to find those messages you had hidden underneath my warm bed. But to be honest, there came a time where I stopped looking for your love and I started plotting my escape. When did you start believing that all women can't be trusted? Raising me to fear what I will inevitably become. So this little girl grew up and left home with a backpack full of dreams. The calcification of words unspoken made my bones stronger, My shoulders perfectly sculpted by the struggles. My rebellion became my saving grace. And somewhere along this journey, I became a leader where I could have been just another statistic. But now, after all these years, finally, I'm beginning to remember. I remember, I understand. Hard-working, blue-collared men had no time for therapy and yoga and healing. You did the best you could with what little you had. No one ever taught you to be the man I needed you to be. I understand now. And I remember. And I love you. And I remember the time when you told me that I could be anything that I wanted to be. How could I have ever forgotten that you had said that to me? Thank you. Thank you. I have lots of poems. How much more time do I have? That's it? That's all the time I have for you folks. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.